Hello, lovely people. Welcome to Ari Talks About Music. I'm Ari, and today I'll be reviewing the new Darkside album, Nothing. Nothing is the third album by the American art rock and electronic band Darkside, and is a release that I think really sees them exploring the slightly more psychedelic and experimental aspects of their first two albums, and really just taking that element of their previous work and turning it into just an album in its own right. The album opens with the song Slough, giving the album a very nice atmospheric beginning, with lots of really nice, very soft sounds and slowly building the layers as the song progresses. The vocal effects are also quite a nice touch, giving this track a slightly more experimental feel to it. And of course, the outro to this track is just absolutely beautiful, being so psychedelic and surreal, with so many just weird and wonderful sounds going on. The opening bass line on the song SNC just sounds so much like Tame Impala's The Less I Know The Better, just with the kind of sound effects and mixing that's done to the instrument. And I love how well the guitar builds throughout the intro too, before the vocals coming in as well. This track also sees many influences from funk to baroque that really just give it such an interesting and unpredictable feel all the way through. And just on the whole, the progression and the amazing mix of such diverse influences make this one of my favorite songs on the album. The really soft guitar as well as the super chill vocals on Are You Tired, Keep On Singing sound really nice after such an experimental track. However, after the intro, the song definitely goes for a slightly more summery kind of sound, but still keeps the overall theme of the track and keeps it nice and chill. And then the outro on this track is absolutely beautiful, with these long, vast, ethereal soundscapes and just this really nice, airy guitar playing the odd note here and there. The outro Max goes for a much more mechanical sound, being obviously a huge tone shift from the previous track, which unfortunately I do think does make the intro to this track quite jarring, as it really just hits you in the face after how dreamy the previous one was. However, despite the rough transition, it's still an amazing song, and the more it adds layers, the more complete it starts to feel, and just explores so many interesting sounds and ideas, making it such a unique track and really standing out on the album. American References goes for a much more organic and stripped back sound, featuring much simpler arrangements and very simple vocals with hardly any effects. The song is sung entirely in Spanish and overall just has a really nice Latin influenced kind of sound. Heavy is good for this. In some ways almost feels like it could be an Air song, with how the guitar sounds just being so dreamy and spacey. I do like how the song builds, slowly becoming a bit noisier and a bit more chaotic, before abruptly cutting off and just going back to the very Air-like guitar, which is really nice. However, I do think that this song could have just built to a little bit more. Hell Sweet Part 1 is admittedly one of the less interesting tracks on the album, just having very little to provide, although the more organic vocals do sound quite nice. However, this track does kind of just get a free pass for being more the introduction track to the next one, Hell Sweet Part 2, which once again going for a much more organic sound with the vocals and a really nice sounding acoustic guitar. And I just really love how this track once again is providing much more diversity to the album, with a very organic and stripped back lo-fi kind of feel to it, as opposed to the much more weird and experimental electronic music that's been featured a lot so far. And finally, the closing track, Sin el sol no hay nada, which is Spanish for Without the Sun there is nothing, just does a really good job at not making a grand exit and just keeps the nice chill vibe of the latter half of the album going, and still manages to remain interesting and just shows off a handful of cool effects and ideas. And on the whole, this album, I just love it for its diversity. The way the first half is just so experimental and shows off so many sound effects and distortions that sound really good altogether, and then just goes for a much more chill, organic sound in the second half, which just keeps the album so diverse and unpredictable and yet still interesting and so coherent and well put together. And so I'll be giving this album an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching this review. Please be sure to listen to this album yourself and tell me your thoughts below. Please leave a like if you liked the video, and please leave a dislike if you didn't like the video, and remember to stay hydrated.